Mom defends baby from entitled kidnapper, ensures justice. This happened when my daughter was about 4 months. Let's meet the wonderful and not so wonderful cast. Me. BB, daughter. M, entitled Mom Beast. EB, entitled Mom Beast Spawn 5-ish. Setting, local coffee shop. One afternoon after our mommy and me yoga class, I know sounds dumb, but a great way to meet mommy friends, me and BB decided to get a coffee and catch up. Well, I would get coffee, she would get that sweet, sweet booby milk. Well, BB, lightweight that she is, passes out after that boob milk. I decide to be wild and get that second cup of coffee. Am drinking my second cup of coffee when a wild EK and EM appear. EK, OW, Ababai. I smile but go back to reading the news and sipping my coffee. When I look up, EK is trying to pick up my sleeping baby. I panicked, obviously. Me, yelling? No. EM, oh, she wasn't hurting her. EK, whining. I want to hold the babayi. Me, she's sleeping, and you're too little to hold her, honey. She's heavy. EM, oh, just let her hold her. EK is very mature. Me, she's not a baby doll. No. EM, you don't have to be a B*THH. Me, excuse me? During this time, EK tried to pick up BB and woke her up. So BB starts crying. I pick her up and start hushing her. Me, now see what you did? Leave us alone. M, she just wants my daughter to hold her, tries to grab BB. Me, WTF, get off turns to keep BB away. BB cries. Just let her hold her, keeps trying to steal baby. Me, help open hand, punches her in the nose. At this point, the coffee shop employees jump in and pull her away. One of them says that they called the police. EM's nose is bleeding. EK is sobbing. I kinda feel bad for the kid. She's pretty little, but her mum should teach her better. The employees ask us to stay and wait for police. M, good. She assaulted me and traumatized my child. BB is still crying, so I give her that boob. M, she's exposing herself to a child pedophile. I ignore her, and BB finally calms down. The police came and asked us each what happened. M, she exposed herself to my daughter and assaulted me. Me, scared that I'm going to jail. That isn't true. She tried to steal my baby. I just was protecting her. Luckily, the coffee place had cameras. She got arrested for attempted kidnapping. I have to go to court for it next month. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Update. 1. Posted March 18th, 2019. We go to court on April 14th for the criminal charges against EM for attempted kidnapping. I didn't expect to update before then, but then this happened. Me, it's a me. DG. Delivery man / disguised guy EM. Entitled Mom EK. Entitled Kid. Me and BB went to the park this morning. We got back around 11 a.m. There was a man standing on our porch, looking lost. BB was in her stroller sleeping. I put my hand in my purse and onto my mace. Me, can I help you? DG, I'm looking for a first name, last name. I have a package for her. He pulls out an thick envelope. It was Cardi B level thick CCC. Me, her, I can take it. Takes the Cardi B envelope. As soon as it is in my hands and I sign for it, DG rips off his fake mustache and delivery guy hat, revealing his real identity, a legal intern. DG, cool. You're being sued, by the way. Good luck. Yup, that's right. I'm being sued by EM. Why would the woman who tried to snatch my baby be suing me? How much damage could I have inflicted? Well, apparently I did 25,000 USD in damage. In this poor envelope was about 10 million pages detailing how she is suing me for everything that is wrong in her life. Apparently, I had broken her nose, so she's suing me for not only related medical bills, but she also wants me to pay for them to fix her pre-existing toad nose. Oh, and of course, emotional damages to her and her child. Apparently, EM has anxiety and depression because of me. EK has PTSD from the indecent. Finally, I'm also being sued for slander and character assassination, because how dare I say she tried to steal my baby? Of course, at the end, she said she would be willing to settle out of court if I would drop the criminal charges. Well, I took that letter to my lawyer, and he said the judge would laugh her out of court, especially if the criminal trial goes in our favor, which is basically guaranteed. So I will be seeing her in court on April 14th, and I will see her again in July for the civil case. Edit. Thanks for the gold, my dude. Update. Firstly, thanks everyone for the support and love. I can't wait to tell BB about all of this when she gets older. Wednesday, we found out the verdict on EM. TLDR at end. So, let's meet the cast. J. Judge. EM. Entitled Mom. ED. Entitled Dad. EK, entitled Kid. Jury, the jury. P, prosecutor EL, EM's lawyer. Me, Mr. My darling husband. Scene. This chapter opens April 15th, 2019, approximately 9:30 a.m. We are at our local courthouse. Me and Mr. had dropped off BB at his mother's. I had considered bringing her and breastfeeding while EM was on the stand, just to irritate her. But I didn't think a 8-month-old would be able to sit quietly for that long. Instead, I brought my 384-month-old husband. We went to the courthouse, and I will admit I was nervous. We took our seats behind the prosecutor, and we were chatting with her. EM enters with her lawyer, and if looks could kill, I would be dead. The judge and jury enter, and we are ready to get started. As we are getting started, the judge is interrupted by ED and EK entering the courtroom, in possibly the nosiest way to enter a room. Disclaimer, these were 3 very long, very stressful days, so I will be paraphrasing a lot. J. EM, you are charged with attempted kidnapping, first-degree assault, disturbing the peace, and disorderly conduct. How do you plead? M. Your Honor, I am 100% innocent. In fact, I am outraged that I stand accused of wrongdoing. I am a proud American and the biggest supporter of these proud, fair, and just. J, looking already done with her shit. Please sit down. EM shocked. B but. J, now. EM sits. J, we will now proceed to opening statements, prosecutor. P lays out the case, succinctly explaining that EM was a dangerous woman who attempted to rip a small baby from its mother's arms. EM, screaming. No, that isn't true. J. Ill. Tell EM to be quiet. P. Continue. P. There is clear, indisputable evidence that EM is guilty on all counts. The prosecutor wraps up his opening statement in under about 5 minutes, explaining that the whole situation was caught on tape, and that the evidence will speak for itself. The defense's opening statement was about 40 minutes long. He gave this creature's whole life story. She couldn't possibly be guilty. She was your typical suburban soccer mom, president of her HOA, active in her church. Blah, blah, blah. Apparently, because the statements established character, they weren't off topic enough to make the judge tell EL to shut up and sit down. EL talked so long that after they concluded, the judge dismissed us for the day. We come back the second day, and before the trial start, my husband goes and grabs us a cup of pure caffeine from a booth in the courthouse. He's putting his cream and sugar in it when ED approaches. ED, hey man, how are you doing? Mr. Fine? ED, this whole mess is crazy. Mr. Yep. ED, look man, what will happen to my daughter if her mom goes to jail? It's not good for a kid. Mr. Yeah, that's rough, sorry. ED, well you could tell your wife to drop the charges, do what's best for the kids. Mr. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. ED, come on man, be reasonable. Mr. If your wife was reasonable, we wouldn't even be here. ED, fuck you, and asterisk. Mr. Get out of here, man walks away. The second day of court starts. Prosecution lays out the evidence, including the tape, calls witnesses, and all that prosecution stuff. When the prosecution calls witnesses, the defense also gets to ask them questions. They were trying to cast doubt on all of the witnesses, I guess to make it seem like it was all a witch hunt against entitled mom. Finally, it was my turn to testify and be questioned. I told my story for the prosecution, then this foolishness ensued. EL, it seems like you were the first to raise your voice. Would you say that is accurate? Me, I suppose so. L, so that would make you the instigator. Me, I don't think... L cuts me off. You claim that EM assaulted you? Me, yes. I yell, did EM strike you at any point during this altercation? Me, well not exactly strike. EL, did you strike EM at any point? Me, yes, but it was to... EL, the jury will notice that this woman has admitted to not only being the instigator, but also the aggressor in this situation. After the prosecution lays out their evidence, it is the defense's turn. It is at this point EM takes the stand. EM tells her twisted version of events. According to her, her daughter had seen my baby and had approached me to tell me how beautiful BB was. In response to this totally innocent interaction, I began verbally abusing EK. She attempted to calm me, but this backfired. When I violently snatched up BB, she couldn't help but notice that it was very unlikely that BB was mine. Seeing an unstable woman snatching up an innocent, probably kidnapped BB, EM just had to intervene. When she did, I viciously attacked her. So day 3 is verdict and sentencing. On the charge of attempted kidnapping, the jury decided that there was not enough evidence to conclude that she wanted to kidnap BB. Not guilty. On the charge of assault, the jury was not convinced by her lawyer's attempts to demonize me. Guilty. Disturbing the peace and disorderly conduct, the tapes and witnesses lead to a guilty verdict. Now we get to the part you all have been waiting for: sentencing. EM was sentenced to 18 months of probation, 40 hours of community service, 30 hours of anger management, and $730 in fines. This all goes on her criminal record, and if she violates her probation or does not do what is required, she will spend those 18 months in prison. While I know many of us were hoping for jail time, I am satisfied with this outcome, and I think it is fair. We left feeling pretty good. We have to go back to court in a few months for the civil case. Update 3. Previously on How Did My Life Become So Batshooty Insane? Yes, this is an update. I took my infant daughter out for our weekly coffee date. While there, an EM with her daughter appeared and tried to grab my baby. She left with a broken nose and some criminal charges. I left with BB, my daughter, and a ridiculous lawsuit. Me and my husband go to her criminal court trial, and her husband says some racist BS to my husband. She is found not guilty on most of her charges, and is sentenced to probation and some therapy. Episode whatever in this melodrama, this is the new stuff. The civil case was supposed to be on July 9th, but the case was dropped. I was so happy. After months of this crap, I was ready to put all of this behind me and move on with our lives. I don't know why I was so naive. I should have known that a crazy EM like that would not give up so easily. One evening on my way back from our mommy and me yoga class, I noticed a woman parked across the street from my house. I thought it was EM, but I brushed it off, thinking that I was paranoid because all of this started after 1 if our class is. I took BB inside and got her settled. When I looked out the window, the car was gone. I went about my business until Saturday. The weather on this particular Saturday morning was gorgeous, so I decided to take BB to the park. It was still early, about 9 a.m. That car was parked on my street again, but this time it was empty. We walked to the park and were there for about 30 minutes before I noticed the same car, again empty. I know it was the same car because of the hideous seat covers, pink leopard print. I was a little on edge, so I gathered up BB and started to leave. Then I seen her. She was about 15 feet away from us, and it was definitely EM. EM was there, but her daughter was nowhere in sight. I was starting to worry that she had moved onto my street. When I got home, it was empty, which is normal, because my husband likes to go to the gym a little later on Saturday. I got BB a snack and called my neighbor/friend. I asked her if she knows if anyone moved onto the street lately. She didn't think anyone did. Neither of us had noticed any sign of a move in either, not that we pay especially close attention. I told her about seeing EM. We both decided that it was probably a coincidence. We chatted for a little while, until it was time for BB's nap. As soon as I finished putting her down and went down the stairs, my husband came in. It calmed my nerves to see him. At least until we had this conversation. Husband: were you expecting someone this morning? Me: no, why? H: I thought I heard someone knocking on the door this morning, but by the time I got downstairs, they were already gone. Right away, I was on edge. I thought about that empty car. Even if it wasn't EM, why would someone just knock and leave like that? I told my husband about seeing EM and decided that it could be a coincidence, or it might not, so we will keep an eye out and the police on speed dial. Everything was normal for a few days, but then I seen the car again. This continued for about a week to 2 weeks. I would see the car, and then it would be back a few days later. It would be at different times and places. I began to feel paranoid, like I was being watched all the time. One day I tried to confront her, but she drove away. At the 2-week mark, I decided that I had had enough and would go to the police station the next morning. And that is exactly what I did. The police handled everything just like I thought they would. By that, I mean that they treated me like a crazy person and told me that a car being on a public street is not a crime. And since no threats had been made, there was not much that they could or would do. It was a great waste of time for everyone. About 2 days later, I was leaving for work when I noticed that all 4 of my tires had been slashed. The next weekend, I was working in the garden while BB played next to me. I noticed a little blue-green pellet that I immediately recognized. It was rat poison. I was outraged that the city would just throw poison into people's lawns. What if BB would have eaten it? I also have a cat who could die if they ate a poisoned rat. Luckily, has an indoor cat. I was bitching to my neighbor, ready to turn into a Karen myself, when he told me 2 things that turned my stomach and left me gagging. 1. No one else has, or has ever found rat poison pellets in their yard. 2. When the city does rat control, they only put poison in the rat burrows. I wouldn't have them just randomly in the yard. I was horrified. My daughter could have eaten one of those. I called the police non-emergency line and told them what was happening, and again, I was dismissed. My daughter could have died, and they acted like NBD. I was told they would look into it, and that was that. I'm just going to list some of the things that happened over the next few weeks. My garden was torn up by a person who literally just ripped up handfuls of flowers. I saw that car 15 times. Someone set up an automatic wake-up call for my phone at 3 a.m. Once I figured out how to get the auto calls to stop, someone would call me and hang up to 3 times a day. I would block the number and a new number would call. We went away for a few days. While we were gone, I received a photo text from outside of my house with the message, "See you soon." I immediately rushed us home, and when we got there, someone had thrown a rock through my window. This was the last straw for me. I rushed into Mama Bear mode. I took my daughter to my mother's, and my husband went to the store and picked up some security cameras. We called the police, took photos, and looked for our cat. He was hiding under our porch. My husband set up the cameras, and I filed for an emergency protection order. In my state, when you file for one of those, they go into effect immediately, and there is a hearing later to determine if it will be permanent and all that. Things calmed down for a few days, and I brought BB home. I thought maybe the order would keep EM away, because if she broke it, she would violate her parole and spend time in jail. Again, I underestimated crazy. I'm gonna put a trigger warning for the rest of this paragraph, because this is so fucked up, so just be warned. If you aren't ready, skip to the next paragraph. One evening I came home from work and picking up BB, and I walked up to the door. On my porch there is a black, mostly empty garbage bag. BB was still sleeping from the car ride, so I put her inside the house and came back out. I thought it may have been my husband being careless. I thought it could have been trash or dirty gym clothes or something that he was going to donate or whatever. So I looked inside. Before any conscious thought registered, I was gagging from the smell of decomposition. Inside that bag was a dismembered cat. It was warm, possibly from the summer heat. I immediately panicked. I went back inside, crying, calling, and searching for our cat. In my emotional state, I had woken BB, and she was screaming and crying too. Our cat was up in our bedroom, taking a nap, and very much alive. I was so overwhelmed by emotions. I was happy that our cat was okay, but that didn't stop the panic attack that followed. I called my husband, hyperventilating as our BB continued to cry, and told him to get home now. Luckily, he was already on the way. My husband called the police on his way home, and they arrived soon after he did. They took photos and watched the security camera footage. The cameras clearly showed EM leaving the bag on my porch. We gave the police the footage and the bag. I took BB to my mom's again. I was going to stay too, but I had to clean up my house. The bag leaked on the porch, and in my panic, I tracked it through the house. Me and husband returned home, cleaned up. I also had to have another meltdown. We stayed at my mom's overnight. In the morning, I had a meeting with the police, so my mom stayed with BB, and husband went to work. The police took my statement and let me know that they were already working with a judge and expected to pick up EM by tonight or tomorrow. I was just ready for this all to be over. I felt powerless. While I was in the meeting, my mother texted me to pick up some teething gel for BB and some toys, so I stopped by the house. I grabbed an extra change of clothes for everyone and the stuff for BB. While I'm in BB's room, I look out the window. It faces the backyard. I see EM in outshed, rummaging around. I flew into an immediate rage and was already halfway down the stairs before I stopped myself. I went back into BB's room and called the police. I told them that someone was breaking in. While I was on the phone, EM walked up and tried to open my back door. It was locked, so IDK what she thought turning the handle would do. I crept downstairs. I went into my kitchen. I looked out the window and EM was walking towards my back door again. So I moved over and stood against the wall and the back door. I thought she was going to try the door again, but instead, she broke my window. Instinctively, I grabbed the closest thing off the counter. She looked into the door, and I hit her with it. She fell back, and her nose was bleeding again. Apparently, I hit her with a dirty baking tray. She got up, and I raised the tray again, but she started to run the other way, around to the front of the house. Just as she made it to the front yard, the police were getting out of their cars. I opened the front door, tray in hand, just in time to hear this. Thank God you got here in time. Someone broke into my home and attacked me. Get in there and shoot her. There she is now, and she's armed. Shoot her! When she screams and pointed at me, the cop immediately pulled his gun at me. I immediately dropped the tray and freeze up. I really thought he was going to shoot me. The cop lowers his gun. Another squad car pulls up, and 2 more officers start getting out of the car. There are a total of 4 cops in my yard, and I'm still frozen. What are you doing? Shoot her! Cop 1, ma'am, I need you to calm down. Another cop walks up and goes to grab my arm. I pull away on reflex. Me, this is my house. She's lying. Look at me, she clearly attacked me. Me, because you broke my window and were coming in. How dare you? I have lived here for years. Me, you lying bitch. I must have moved towards her because the cop next to me grabs me by the arm. I'll be honest, I wasn't thinking really clear. Me, let me go, this is my house. Starts crying. See, she's crazy, thank God you came when you did. Cop 1. It's okay, ma'am. Follow me to the squad car so I can take your statement. 2 cops go with her to the car, and 2 stand with me on the porch. I'm shocked and freaking out, but I start to think clearly again. Me, this is my house. Cop 2, okay? Me, I can prove it. Finally not being an idiot. Cop 2, okay? Me, my purse is inside by the stairs. My license is in there. Cop 2 nods at Cop 3, and Cop 3 goes inside and comes back out with my purse. She goes through it and pulls out my license. Cop 2 and 3 nod at each other. Cop 3 walks down into the yard and waves Cop 4 over. They talk for a moment, and Cop 4 goes back over to 1, and 3 returns over to me. Cop 3, we're sorry, miss. Cop 4 pulled up the police report from yesterday. I'm sorry about the stress. At least she was caught in the act, blah blah blah. While Cop 3 was talking to me, Cop 4 was talking to EM. I'm not sure what was said, but EM turned even paler than she is and tried to run away. She didn't get far and ended up eating pavement. A few minutes later, I was giving another statement, and EM was glaring at me as she was driven away. After I gave my statement and the cops took a few photos, the cops left. I called my husband home again. He stayed and cleaned up and had to board up our window. We stayed at my mom's for another 2 days. We didn't go home until we found out EM was denied bail. In the end, she was found to have violated her parole, so she must spend the rest of her sentence in jail. They also added a stalking charge, animal cruelty, and breaking and entering. I expect that she will be in jail for a few years at least.